Yeah, I took that picture Christmas morning.
I don't have air conditioning. So,
Since I only have like 15, 20 minutes, is there anything?
missing my notes. I'm gonna shuffle while we're talking. This, so we've got the agenda here. Overview of the budget process. What I wanted to do here was talk to you about where we are with the budget. Just a few major changes that we built in, looking at the board priorities, and then an opportunity we have for the Bridge Park Stormwater Project. So after everyone has submitted their budget worksheets, our budget is balanced. We have $160,000 that's going to come from the ABC board as an extra distribution in next year's budget that they've told their finance officer to put that in because they need to make an additional distribution. So the budget's balanced. With that said, though, going forward, we don't know that we can count on that amount of money. So this is a good thing, and this is much better than we've been in other processes for past years. We added Jake's additional position, and we estimated the cost of the salary study. That's the one that I think is the major variable here. Then this budget is balanced without the paid fire department because we're going to see what direction the county is going with that. We have a separate budget, a separate fire department budget accounting for the personnel side of it. But we thought the best way to build this budget was to look at it so we could compare this year's to last year's. Then discussion of the changes, adding the positions and the salary studies, the main increases. Aside from just everything's more expensive, we don't know where fuel's going. So we've tried to estimate these things the best we can.
So you're saying with Jake's new position and an estimate of the salary study implementation, we're balanced. But 130K is that we said from the ABC board, 160K might be something that we need to come up with permanent money for if to continue in next year.
Yes. And this does appropriate from capital reserves fund. That's getting a little bit low. It's getting low, but that's because the last 2 years we've put what would have rolled into capital reserves into the Allen Street project. So I think as we have found funding for that, we can build that reserves back up. And then I'm hopeful with knowing that Jake has a lot of expensive equipment coming up in the next few years. And then we're getting close to the year where we replace 3 patrol cars, that as we are finding additional funding sources for Allen Street, that we can look at. We're going to have around, was it 400,000 that we thought could potentially be extra in Allen Street, or thinking about capital as
Yeah, it all depends, but
not knowing what's under the road. But
Right. So that's money we put into the capital fund project for Allen Street that might be able to roll back out to general fund or for capital.
yes.
So you said this is with taking money from capital from fund balance?
no
Okay.
appropriation.
No
from
appropriation
fund
from fund
balance.
balance. Well, that's really good news.
And did you say the
Never got
160,000 was what we've already gotten from the ABC board?
No, what they're planning to give us as an extra distribution.
An extra distribution from their 21-22
That we would receive in 22-23.
that we get in 22-23
Yes.
for their projected, like we go ahead and budget what they're projected for 22-23 and they're giving us that. Or this is leftover.
Yeah, we don't typically do that, but they're telling us early enough, and it's, yes, and every time they said it, it's ended up being that, so we feel pretty comfortable going ahead.
And it's been high the last few years.
Yes, so we're feel comfortable that will happen.
Yeah, 80,000 from capital reserves. All right. So as far as the board's budget priorities, I have your rankings that Amanda's going to put up here. And I want, in doing this is looking at what's important to the board as far as the budget, but also when we're looking for other funding opportunities. And this year, you know, we have the ARP funds. So I wanted you to see how these ranked. The column J on the right hand shows what the high, and they're in order of highest to lowest based off of everybody's point distributions. So the skate park, the additional public works employee, and the Bridge Park watershed plan come in the top 3 priorities. And looking at these, you can see where some board members have prioritized them higher than others, but almost everybody has put points on the first 2. And then the third one, the Bridge Park watershed, this about half of you put points, but that could be because initially we thought that could come from Fisher Creek funds. So I'm thinking that maybe that's why everybody didn't put points there.
Or from ARP funds,
Right.
because they allow stormwater.
So as we're looking at these rankings, we've got the public works employee in the budget. We've got an opportunity for Scotts Creek watershed plan that we're about to talk about. But looking at ARP funds, I wanted to see how you guys felt. And you don't have to decide today, but this is kind of the guide for us for are enough people putting enough points on it for us to get prices or look at other funding opportunities. That's how we're using this guidance. Thank you.
I definitely want to put the skate park at a high priority. I don't think that the finances all have to come from us or the town. I think that once we figure out the location, there is a lot of people in our community that really want to advocate for this, like the Bridge Park. I think that there's going to be fundraisers and opportunities and grants that are going to build the momentum. We just have to agree, yes, you can do it, and here's the location.
And did you see I sent you that Tony Hawk thing? Someone told me about that. So there's a Tony Hawk Foundation and they build these things. They show you how to build it, how to get more money. They give you money. It looks so. Yeah, I agree. We need a skate park.
So, yeah, I'm fine with that being a priority. I didn't put the points there because I didn't think we needed to spend money on it because the county was talking about.
That's where it gets weird. Yeah.
That's why I didn't put it on the Bridge Park.
And I,
Right, that was ranking like.
I know, and then I put it on
Yeah.
the Black Rock and I guess I didn't need to.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah.
But so I guess it sounds like we all agree skate park is a priority, but from, I guess, grant and other funding opportunities, so not ARPA funds.
Do we have
That was
a way
my
to mark
suggestion.
that, the things that we feel are gonna be other money besides out of our budget, just like you did Allen Street and Bryson Park?
Like
Right.
highlighted or something.
Right.
Highlighted or asterisk or something, so we know it's not gonna come out of our budget.
Yeah, like maybe in the
Yeah.
estimated cost column, just make that a color for, non-general fund.
Yeah, I feel like we need a spreadsheet with like what money we're getting to with ARPA funds and like how much we are gonna get. And then there's infrastructure money, which we haven't even started to talk about, right? We don't have the infrastructure bill that went, or law now that went through. That hasn't even started to kind of trickle down to us yet, has it?
Right.
Yeah, and so that's gonna be a whole other.
And can we use that for the path?
Yeah, I mean, they're like,
It's about-
Yeah.
yeah, but that will be something to keep,
Yeah.
like, I'd like to, yeah.
Okay.
So location, then
OT.
OT. I don't think so. I don't like
I
that.
disagree.
What location, what?
The volleyball court.
Oh, skate park. So what's the county talking about? Because they seem to be the leaders of that movement, right?
What about?
I was thinking Mark Watson, if we partner with the county.
That's better.
It's not as accessible.
Is there any possibility for it to be, if you're looking at the Bridge Park Pavilion, far right of the lots that we're gonna do green space, but I don't know what the footage is of this kind of thing, but is anybody willing to explore that as a location? I think that it needs to be very visible and it needs to be very communicative, community needs to feel like
That's gonna
they've
be
got a
hard.
slot.
Well, I've got a concept we can look at for Bridge Park, green infrastructure. That idea's been brought to me. You guys are already $20,000 or so deep in those plans, which would have to be redrawn. I agree that would be a pretty good place for it, but it would take a complete reimagining for the shovel-ready plans that we've already paid for.
I would say we need to engage the county with the skate park.
Yeah.
Because they've had meetings about it, from what I understand
Yeah.
already.
And they would love to have it in the town of Sylva, which means we're gonna have to support the land space.
Right.
And I love the idea of us working together, just like the pool, to take care of it and facilitate it.
So
So
should we?
the volleyball court, you said no for volleyball?
Isn't there some sort of agreement that
So for 30 years after you get a part of grant, you've got restrictions on what you can do with the park and what changes you can make.
Okay,
So we can't do anything with the volleyball court till we get to the end of that grant, which is cycled.
the sandbox.
Which is probably pretty soon.
You mean? the
All right.
sandbox.
Must have been Late night.
Yeah.
I need to be 43 and I'm not.
No rush.
Yeah.
Not in a rush. It's fine.
Because Cherokee has a skate park,
Yeah.
and I just saw Asheville's for the first time the other day,
Oh,
which
it's
was really cool.
Oh, Asheville's is way cool. You mean the one down
Some-
Near downtown there.
there? Yeah, the old tannery area, yeah.
So, the volleyball court, you feel that's too secluded for the same reason?
I don't know if it's even an option.
Yeah, my immediate no was just until that part of the grant
Oh, okay.
expires. That was my
I thought
immediate
they
no for that. But I don't know if that would be big enough.
That is.
I had to be like 96 or 7. Is it after that?
I wonder
It
if,
was 99 and I was 13.
I'm not quite sure what the footprint of
Yeah, that's right.
the skate park is.
Right.
If we did it there, it would just be like pour a pad and put a half pipe in. There's not enough space to do like that stuff.
Sure.
All of that comes from. They
Well,
were
like the Cherokee one.
designed for.
Yeah, I mean, Cherokee's got like, they've got a drop-in, like, a pool, and then they've got rent.
Right.
They've got, it's really cool,
It's
but
not
it's
gonna be
big,
huge.
yeah, but I'm gonna have to do it that big, we could do something though.
Well, it
Some
goes
drain
right to
pool.
what the county, excuse me, what the county's willing to do.
If the county's gonna be building skate park, then we should do it in North Watson.
Well, how about like we did with the housing
Where there's
thing?
space.
We have a delegate that can go talk to the county and see what their plans are. Would you be willing to
Yeah,
do that?
absolutely.
I think anything we come up with is gonna be contingent on what they're.
And maybe Rusty could come to a future meeting and we could have a conversation about that as a line item.
I'm wondering if in the interim, if we could just buy a half pipe.
Can you expand them?
No, it's just a wooden structure. It comes pre-made. You just fabricate it somewhere.
No lands.
No lands.
I'll explore what they.
Okay.
I have no idea.
But
About $3,000.
Yeah,
And it's sort of like you telling me how to kayak when maybe you haven't been a kayaker, like we need to involve the skateboarders in this conversation and not put something up that they don't jive with,
Those kids
So-
would flock to some.
they would flock to something. So I would love to have like a little informational opportunity where maybe we met at the Bridge Park and let them come forward and say, this is what we're looking for and guide us so that we can get something they'll use.
Can we check with the county and see if they already have a task force and ask them to add somebody like Mary to that? So that we don't duplicate, so that we can work with them and get some of it paid for with whatever they're gonna do.
This is all like in the very new stages, and I think that something wants to be developed, but I think that they want to know that we support them in giving them a possible location.
So real quick about Betsy, so from the police perspective, this past year has been not fun at all there. Because a big source of complaints from citizens is you have little kids and older kids in the exact same space. Older kids are doing things that parents don't appreciate around the little kids. So big source of complaints.
Sure.
I'm you get daily. And those older kids, they get dropped off at the pool, they don't even go to the pool. You know, they go over to the park where there's trees all around it, it's secluded, and I mean, we've had tires cut, we've had fires, multiple fires set, bathrooms been demolished, I don't even know how many times.
Well, what if we did this? What if we
So-
just cut, what if we did a half pipe in the back of the bridge park lot where the water shuts? Just set it back there.
If that's what y'all.
How much fence is that?
You guys
We're
think-
talking about that concept.
Yeah, let's get,
Well, yeah, I want y'all to see that concept.
Yeah, can I see the concept?
I just want to throw that out there that that's the issue, and a big source of complaints is people with little kids, with older kids in the same area, they're cussing and listening to music, and it's just, if we can separate them.
Mark Watson feels like a better
It does.
space for that.
so my thought is that we definitely know we're gonna want to do a skate park of some size and whatever. So that's on here. So let's move on to the next item that Jake was gonna talk about and see how that fits in with skate park.
So you got that conceptual. That's what you know.
Okay, while they're pulling that up, I'll tell you the other things that have been included in here. We've got 30,000 for sidewalks on 107. And that's just planning consistently with what we've been doing the prior years, since we've got a project coming up in 2024 that we need to match. They're trying to find what.
Still on this aspect of the
Places in the back of the bridge park.
No, they'll start again.
This is what we had when we were kids.
Okay.
It's a little fancier.
Dirt ramps
Those are just,
Should be
like you
temporary.
said,
It's a temporary
temporary.
solution. And
It's just usually nothing. Sorry.
It's just like language. Your insurance screen.
Hey, Jake, you want to talk about this?
Okay, so this was the original, when we reapproached Equinox to present us with a couple different concepts for that project. They did two, and we went with this top one, concept A. So as you can see, that green space and that bioretention pond, which bioretention pond there in the top right corner, if y'all see that? That's one of the more, from stormwater access, that's important because that slows down and cleans that stormwater before it hits Scotts Creek. So that's not really something that could be feed out for the clean water aspect of it. So as you'll see, that doesn't leave any room for a skate park because that extends all the way. Yeah, that right here, that's the bioretention structure. Cleans that water before it hits the creek. And then this riparian area between the church lot, that's pretty narrow. So this area right here, I think, is what everybody's currently talking about. You could, Greg suggested a temporary deal. You could do that for now, for sure, if that's what y'all decide to do. But that, at least conceptually, is what the whole situation is gonna look like down there later on.
Looks amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, and you mentioned a new funding. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Unless it's already time.
I think we're there.
Okay. So, Mountain True, they have a ton of. They have a full-time lobbyist, that organization. So they've been financing clean water projects through the region for the last several years. Callie Moore approached me through the contacts that I made at American Rivers and with that Tuckasegee Vision Group that I sit on. She reached out probably a month ago and says, we've seen this, we think it's a great plan and we want to fund it. It's a little larger project than they normally fund. But I've got the most recent, cost estimation was about $430,000 for what you see here. It's entirely possible that that needs to be readjusted given the economic climate since that cost estimation was made, but it shouldn't be drastically different. And they do these, there's support money on various legislative bills that trickles down to them through public clean water funds. And y'all all got a little bit of background information about Mountain True. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity to do this and kind of, this has been a budget priority since I've been in this position every year. And it's just kind of gotten rolled from year to year to year as we don't have money. It is good that y'all authorized us to get the plans, the construction documents in the previous budget year because we were basically ready to start. Now this construction would have to be coordinated with Green Up the Mountains, concerts on the creek, stuff like that. So this is a late fall, early winter.
Yeah, we want to
Project.
stop, we would want them to work the timeline of where it could start after the Pottery Festival and be complete by Bringing Up Mountains. But what they want is to know that the board is okay with them applying for the $700,000 grant.
Yes. Do we need, like, we don't vote on it?
Not an
Okay.
organization, but
Yeah.
we can go around the table and
I personally think it's a fantastic thing, and it's like all of our wants are coming true this year.
This has
You know,
been something that I really wanted to
yes.
see since day one.
We've never been able to fund our wants, only the needs. So this is just,
I'd like to, I mean, I'm looking at this and I would like to have a work of public art and schedule
Definitely.
this project, like written into the.
let's just go around the board and see how each board member feels about Mountain Tree and this project. Or you first. Well, do you like it other
I
than?
would like a portion of the budget to go to a work of art for.
Okay.
Like
A sculpture.
Like a statue of Jake.
I would say, let's say, maybe 1%, 2%. Something like that.
That's allowed in their
As long as
grant,
it doesn't compromise. it.
right?
Yeah, okay.
Or
Right.
can that
We can
just be
always just
something
fund
we can,
that.
Right.
and we not have it before the
Yeah, we should
grant?
have.
But
Okay.
if they'll, but we can
But
have
what
someone.
I would like for guidance, like, I would just like, let's think about a work of art for, you know, and there's precedent for building percentage for art for state buildings and things like that. So I'm sure that we get process. If they don't want to fund it, I think we should definitely.
David,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, when I first got on the board, we did the Scotch Creek watershed assessment plan. And yeah, everything takes a really long time to come to fruition, but this has been a priority of mine since the very beginning. So yes, I would love to see it happen.
yeah,
Yeah, this is fantastic. And I just want to like get her done, like move forward, it seems like we've got funding and we've got plans and
I
we're
see
ready
a
to
place
go.
for a Portland Loop.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, there's a river. No, I'm just kidding. There,
Expensive prison toilet.
yeah, but,
Exactly.
and then also Mountain True, they were here, they kind of helped us out, with 107, looking at the 107 impacts as well. So they're fantastic. Yeah,
Yeah.
we get to learn about them. They're great.
Adeline?
I'm excited about the archway.
Okay.
But yes, overall, it's awesome.
Mary?
I think this helps everybody out. It's not just targeting one group. there'll be parking for different events. It'll be a good thing. I am a little disappointed that there's not a skate park concept in the Bridge Park area, but that doesn't mean that Poteet Park might have potential for somewhere else. So I do love this design.
All right, moving on, Jake, any more?
If you don't have any other questions.
Just real quick about the design, are those the trees to the right of the pavilion that are existing right now? Is that this is pretty much?
These are proposed to be new.
Okay.
Everything not shaded, everything brightly colored.
We're shifting over into the yard.
Ish. You keep in mind that this is conceptual, so this is not to scale or anything like that.
Did they do it different than the one that came from a watershed thing? Because I still like that.
It's substantially different, but this, or, let's see, where's.
Oh, they're just gonna expand it.
There's still room here for
Yeah.
3 or 4.
Oh, you for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, I think this enhances the festival
Right.
experience
Right.
considerably, because you don't just have a gravel parking lot.
That's one thing that I was gonna say
Exactly.
also is that to the, on the right side, like vendor spaces, you see power on that side.
To where, there, so.
There's
Yeah.
power there.
Well, this is a golden opportunity. While we're at it, I will very likely stub power up at all kinds of different convenient locations.
Yeah,
And does the design include lighting?
This design doesn't, we have town-owned lighting down there, which we could probably look at improving. But the Bridge Park is one of the last places that the town owns their lighting instead of Duke. So
And our cameras don't cover this area right now.
not currently, so we've got a camera off this side of the pavilion that looks back this way. If y'all remember the killdeer, we could just barely see
Right.
it.
It's gonna have such a nice theme.
But that's, all of those, these.
They like gravel.
They like
Trees,
gravel, yeah.
all these shade trees are gonna kind of make it line of sight
Right.
difficult.
Yeah,
You can put cameras on pole. I mean, there's options. right
yeah, if
there.
they could think about the lighting, what we could do about that and definitely setting up for the power is awesome. Yeah.
And actually Wi-Fi too, because that would help vendors. I know
sorry,
the
guys.
pottery.
Thanks again,
festival.
everybody. See you guys later.
See you, Ben. Bye, Vivian.
Y'all have fun. Hi, Vivian.
Right, I mean, then there's a lot more grants for EV stuff going through Duke right now too, so you can add those in pretty much wherever.
So-
Speaking y'all's language.
So this grant, so is this something we have to apply for, or they're just offering to fund it?
They're
They're gonna apply.
for it for us, but it's,
It sounds like they give the concept to legislators and then they try to work it into the budget. We don't know what grant it would be at this point.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha. What's the timeline for doing something like
It'd be with the upcoming state budget.
that? All right, well, awesome.
and they've also told us that they're willing to work around letting us finish Allen Street, letting us at least get to a breathing space with the downtown bathroom and working around our festival schedule as well. So there aren't tight
Thanks,
deadlines.
thanks for keeping up with your contacts on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Played on.
Yeah. Nice.
Maybe you'll get a statue after all.
There probably should be a statue for truth.
In front of the court.
Yeah.
All right, good news.
All right, next thing as far as budget. I reached out to 2 places to try to get a quote for a zoning map update, and I'm thinking that we need to push that out a year because we're right up to where we should be doing our Unicode recodification. It's been 10 years. It will have been 10 years since we've done that. And I think recodifying that we need to put our new zoning ordinance in Unicode at the same time we recodify. So I think that needs to be the first step before we do a map update. Plus, there would be a lot of public input involved in that if we go the direction looking at density and moving towards that future land use plan. So I think with everything coming up, that's pushing that out a year is my recommendation, if you all are all right with that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is the planning board looking at the meeting right now, or when is that process?
so that will actually be more of working with me, Amanda, and Eric, because they'll take our other ordinances, look at what's changed legislation wise, and then looping in the various department heads on the chapters that apply to their, not zoning related chapters, but code chapters that apply to their operations. Okay, then the other thing I wanted to say, with the $30,000 sidewalks on 107, my recommendation is to keep trying to fund that until we get to the project, and then add money to it to meet, where that money can meet the shortfall that we've got in street repair and paving.
Are we back on the spreadsheet now? Sorry.
The spreadsheet will show Jake's estimated that what we need to be putting into an additional to POW bill funds to keep up with our paving schedule. We would need an additional $39,000. That's item 12. So I think that we could just use POW bill now, unless something comes up that you want to do additionally, and then use the sidewalk contribution to that amount. But that's the future budget. That's just a suggestion while I'm looking at this.
Yeah, their POW bill contributions are not gonna keep up with our paving needs, is the short version. And we've got a lot of really rough pavement all over town right now. I've been sitting on that POW bill money for the last couple of years because of Allen Street, because I wanted to have as much of that available as absolutely possible. A lot of that is funded engineering and stuff thus far. Now that Allen Street is basically funded with other monies, we really need to take a good hard look at our paving schedule in town. There's a lot of places in West and East Sylva that really need some asphalt prices are soaring.
All right, and I meant to put this on the agenda, but just for the bathroom project, our ABC distribution for this current budget is above our general $160,000 distribution is an additional $120,000. And then the Southwestern Commission is working with us to try to get an additional $40,000 for state capital infrastructure funds for the bathroom. So I think that money could make up the shortfall in the bathroom project. Yes. If we use the $250 for the bathroom, the additional $40,000 Southwestern Commission is working on the same grant application for, and then, or same grant process, not application. And then $120,000 from our ABC distribution. We've kind of been sitting that aside, thinking that we would need it for Allen Street, but we could use that $120 for the bathroom, and that gets us very close to Odell's estimate.
And we're at 410.
And then the other 160,000 you were talking about, we already committed it.
Yes, we put that in the budget. So if you all are in agreement, once we get to a certain point, we'll update or amend the capital project ordinance with those amounts.
Everybody okay?
Yes.
Any discussion and questions? Do you want to give us more direction on how to look at
So
ARP funds?
the only thing, so I guess the ARP we probably need a lot more discussion on, but maybe not today, but just to keep in mind the housing partnership with the county for ARP funds. Is that why it's in blue? Or is that just like outside
I
funding?
put it in blue because that was something that we estimated a cost on or got an updated amount. And that just came from looking at one of the first sites we talked about
Okay.
for price tag.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
guess I think one that's for the highest, that is the community table. That is certainly something that would fall within the scope of some of those funds.
Definitely.
And we don't have any estimate or any,
What those are forthcoming. There isn't anything there that is anything to be alarmed about. The last time I was structurally, that old building is pretty sound. I've been underneath it a couple times where it's small electrical upgrades, stuff like that. I don't
So
think there's
$50,000.
at an absolute maximum, I would think.
And I would say that when she reaches out to, or when the community table board or Paige reaches out to you all, please send her to us so that they express their needs to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much?
So I'm looking at that as a
What do we
building
have?
that we already own and have a responsibility to keep up. I mean, I can, before our next work session, absolutely have an itemized list of the repairs and costs that need to happen there.
Town hall.
That's more, I see that much more as a operational budget type issue than a capital expenditure.
Well, could 8 and 10 be one line that was $50,000?
If that's the pleasure of the board and if it works out for Paige and Lynn, I will add that the ventilation and air purification, that number is an exact quote that I've got, and that's for town hall, police department and fire department. So that's
great. I do think that's something that we ought to look at as COVID is good right now, but
Mhm.
planning for future waves or
and
just general cold.
right, and that's also our approved money. Or can be, that's what it can be used for.
So, but our goal, I guess, at this point is not, we're gonna finalize our budget and our general expenses, and then we'll do budget amendments or whatnot to fund our projects later in the year, or do we want to finalize, have some preliminary budget in this budget?
What do you think? Later? I mean, $10,000.
It's hard to estimate. Really,
Yeah.
how we're gonna break up the.
I think we need more certain prices for a lot of this.
We can start with the HVAC for this building, so we already have it.
We'll work on how to account for that.
So, what's the estimated cost for a project manager position? Is that not?
So we need more guidance on that as far as my issue with that is it's gonna be hard to find somebody qualified and part-time because you're looking at relatively different skill sets across Allen Street, bathroom, Bridge Park.
Bryson.
Right, yeah.
It's an internship.
And, yeah, it, frankly, that's my job to do. And the additional employee and organizational changes that I've made in Public Works in the last couple of years are gonna allow me to do that. So I think it would be my strong recommendation, y'all just let me do that.
Well, and I mean, with Allen Street, you've got an engineer. And then with Mountain True, she said they had somebody that could even oversee the construction of it.
I think that's what we were thinking, just so they could report to Jake, but Jake wouldn't have to be every day on that job since he has other ones. But it sounds like it's already being taken care of with Allen Street and the Mountain True project. And it sort of sounds that way with the bathroom from what Odell was saying, that, he would oversee some of that and the civil engineer. So they would just have to be
Well, when
reporting.
construction starts, it'll be Odell and the civil's responsibility to advocate for the town as the client.
Right.
And so between those three layers, the civil, the architect and myself.
Yeah.
What we've got.
And all those projects aren't gonna overwhelm you.
No.
Then you really will deserve a statue.
Well, and I mean, staggering them
Mhm.
will help.
Right, right. I don't know.
Okay, so what's next?
So, I mean, if there's anything else, let us know if you think it needs to be investigated further.
Well, the splash pad is a great idea. Could that be part of the?
What's a splash pad? You want to
Instead
get
of the escape, it's like a.
Water squirts out.
Yeah, it's a little plaza and all of a sudden.
So my idea on that, or my thing on that was like, I thought we had something similar at the pool, public pool, right?
Yeah, but this is more like, you know, in a public location.
Oh, it's a hot concert, everybody's enjoying themselves, your kid is burning up and you just want to let them play and hang out. There's one in Franklin, and
Okay.
it's extremely small and it's
Oh.
pretty inexpensive.
Seems like we got, I think we got enough on here right now.
We just put a water.
Just do-
Sprinkler.
Well, yeah.
It's the same
So in that
idea.
bio retention pond,
Yeah. Okay. Entry signs like Grindstaff. I know about that. Is that feasible?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear
The
you.
entry signs on Grindstaff, like the ones on Grindstaff.
I mean, well, I think that the art,
Can we get those guys back?
that could be all.
yeah, well, and where we did the previous one, super on the cheap. We can basically do those turnkey with those funds, and it's, you know, like my staff laid the block, poured the foundation, did a bunch of fabrication on the sign, painted the sign. Jeremy Jones has left the fab shop at the high school. They still have the equipment to do that, but I don't know if they're still doing that or
I
not.
might be able to do it at the university now.
Yeah, we learned a few things on that front too. You know, it really needs to be heavier gauge steel instead of 3/16, because when we weld it together, it's all floppy. So we had to, it's a technical term, floppy.
Quarter inch.
Yeah, it needs to be, heavier. Like I said, I'd like to do that. If that's something y'all are interested in doing, we can do those at other, you know, we have the other entrance coming out of Dillsboro, just past Wilkes, the first loop to Wilkes Crescent. Doing it right there.
Would you guys mind if we didn't do the medallions on these, just do Sylva,
The board.
What are the medallions?
like all the Tree City USA,
Oh, yeah. Just
Rotary
like-
Club and all that stuff. It's on grind stuff, but do we have to do that on this one? This one did say Sylva.
And my thought is the one at Dillsboro could be because there was a sign there, but I'd kind of like to wait at the other entrance until we know where our downtown district is gonna be and if we're gonna have any land there, maybe near the coffee shop, near that bridge where Hall's Tire is, or will it go further out? I'd just like to wait until we
What's up
know.
with
that
Paul's Tire anyway? Something about piece of property.
it's a-
Before.
That would be
I think
good.
it's
I want it to be a town park. Can we buy that with our money?
I think the road is taken.
I think the DOT
Yeah,
might
there's
be
not gonna be.
Yeah, but they might give us a piece of it.
Oh, that would be such a beautiful entry.
I know.
There, looking down the tracks with one of these signs, but yeah, we'll wait on that one, but for now, for this year, maybe we can make that one. Hillsborough.
That's the pleasure of the board.
What's everybody think? Is that one that you would be willing to, how much money is it?
It was about, the last one was about 7,000.
Oh, each.
If you paid somebody else to do it besides Public Works. what would it be?
10 to 12. I'm sorry.
You guys did such a good job. I just love that. song.
Yeah, there's a lot of gray hair in this beard from that one.
Okay, does everybody think that's something we need to do?
Art funds.
Mhm.
Do we want to have that as part of our art funds discussion or go ahead and you're saying like commit to that right now? Use art funds.
What's the pleasure?
Jake, is it within your scope? I mean, do you have time for this?
No.
So no, there's no way we can do it in-house.
10,000.
Yeah, what I'm suggesting it would be for a turnkey, like a contractor to do it all. And we say, we want another one just like this one. bid it, sub the rock work if you have to, do the block, because there's a masonry aspect and then the signage aspect of it too. Like I said, last year we did it, or last time we did it as cheaply as absolutely possible.
Right.
Because we funded it with the municipal grant and then kicked in some of our money, and that $7,000 figure is kind of fair, like, I don't think it can be done any cheaper than that, but.
But we might, I might be able to support for cutting the sign. So, I would just shave a little.
Right, I mean, candidly, with Allen Street, the bathroom, Bridge Park, everything else, I absolutely don't have time to do it.
He's an alligators.
So how about instead of actually committing to it, why don't we just maybe get a quote? Is that something you have time for?
Yeah.
Well, 10,000.
Well, let me get a quote. That's just an off the cuff estimate.
Which is like community table, would you say 50,000, we're talking about ARP. 50,000. 10,000. 7,000 for the ventilation. Right?
Let's call, I mean, if you're looking for broad budgetary numbers without me getting exact figures, let's call it 15.
Okay,
To be fair on the side of caution.
maybe for that, we could get all three of them cut right now or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
What's next?
what is next? I have a question about Skyland Drive. Have we made all of our commitments to that, that we have to?
We
for
have
the-
them all budgeted. We've not paid everything yet.
Okay. Then where are we?
So I think we've got enough direction to get cost on community table repairs, entrance sign, and look at that along with ventilation purification and housing a future meeting. Is there anything, right now we're down below, we're down to item 15 to 20, and those all scored fairly low.
I have a question about the repaving the parking lot. Is it necessary? Because I feel there's so many streets in town that are in really bad shape. I don't know if that would make people perceive we were fixing our parking up, but their streets wouldn't be fixed. Is it,
Well, it's about to fall into the creek back here.
is
But it's
that
not
what that's
included in the
for?
budget, Right,
Right.
right, it's not included.
Yeah, no.
So it's what? It's not included.
It's not in the budget, and we wouldn't use PAL bill funds for that.
Right, but we're gonna have to supplement our bill if we get all the places fixed. Okay, so.
Well, moving down Pinnacle Park Master Plan, that's sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, but we don't have to worry about that in the budget, right? Because we'll pull that from Fisher Creek Fund once we actually get quotes on plans. So
Right.
that'll be just like whenever we get.
We'll just be in appropriation.
So unless there's anything else you think needs to be included in the budget, I think we've got enough to move forward with the draft and getting quotes for art funds.
Yeah.
And Natalie mentioned this before the meeting, and I thought it was a great idea. Having a community input on Bryson Park for what people want to see. Would we want to do that at a future meeting? And Jake and I have talked to a couple of playground distributors. They said there's a 26-week wait time on ordering equipment. So we probably need to get an idea of what they want early on.
We ought to just go ahead and figure it out and get it ordered because the construction work is gonna take at least that 26 months, I would think.
On the next agenda.
Weeks,
Half a year.
half a year.
So
It'd take more
our
than
next
that.
meeting is April the 21st. Then we have a May 5th and a May 12th.
We do it on April 21st.
Night meeting.
Yeah. That would be, if you reach out to the community members now, I guess, and that gives them time to kind of get stuff together, give them talk before.
So this is just like to get suggestions on what they want
Yeah, she mentioned somebody wanted a stage.
For community stage area.
to. Okay.
Is that land ever gonna be available, you think, where we park, where we stage our Christmas parade, Gerald Street, like that parking area?
For the town to own.
I think the likelihood that the paper plant will ever part with it is very small. That's where they stay there. They don't even like leaving it vacant for a couple hours for the parade. I can certainly explore it.
I was gonna tell you, I saw yesterday, somebody was parked in.
People are still using that parking.
Yeah, he's like kicking the dirt.
Oh, that was the survey.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was
not
contract.
the survey.
Okay, because I saw somebody working
We
out. I
were
was like,
paying
why are you
for
working
him to
out?
kick the dirt.
Gotta watch these kids these days, they just kick
I was
dirt.
That's all I have.
Are we gonna have to build new bathrooms at that point? Just starting fresh with all the new
No, but
equipment
we're
and
going to
bathroom?
deeply rehabilitate the ones that are there.
Renovate.
Yeah.
What about the ones over here at PT? What kind of shape are they?
Relatively good shape. They've been abused through the years, but they could, I mean, at any given time, you could use new fixtures down there. The guys have done a real good job strengthening the partitions and stuff like that. We don't even attempt mirrors in there anymore.
Well, should we talk about a budget for the fixtures that you need through the ARP fund?
I think let's look at using additional funds from Bryson for that page. I've already explored new picnic tables. The things that take the most abuse down there are the picnic tables and the bathroom fixtures. I think between the public restroom and the Bryson Park renovations, we're gonna learn a lot about stainless steel fixtures, shatterproof mirrors, that kind of
Kid
thing.
friendly material.
Well, the problem we have there is that those bathrooms are so secluded back in there.
Mhm.
So people feel comfortable, they feel safe back in there from anybody seeing them. So, and a lot of homeless people, they understand, in there, break in, sleep. And then,
Is there a way to create more visibility there? Or-
I mean, it'd be tough just because it's such a pocket, you know, with all that. Reason why people want to take their kids there is for the same reasons why it's such.
Put our cameras back there.
We do, and we're gonna upgrade cameras for all the parks with that same money.
That's great. Yeah, keep it in mind. Or buying our playground equipment.
Yeah,
We
that's,
have a playground that's
Well, we can only upgrade Bryson Park cameras with that money.
right.
Anything else? A motion to adjourn.
Where's Ben? I'll make that motion.
We're only done if now we spend.
All those in favor,
Aye.
since we never called the meeting to order.
Thank you all. Thank you.
you.
Good. To the budget session.
Yeah, what is